Welcome to the results video for the first 8 months of 2025. In this video we will find out which UFC prediction channels on YouTube were the best predictors overall. So the most and least accurate with their winner picks, and which ones were the most and least profitable with their winner picks. But also which ones were the best predictors on favorite fighters in odds, so the most accurate and the most profitable. And we do the same for the underdogs, the most accurate and the most profitable. And lastly, we'll go over which predictors are the best with their method of victory predictions, also most accurate and profitable. We have a lot to cover in this video, so let's get started with the totals of 2025 so far. Over the first 8 months of 2025 there were a total of 29 events and a total of 350 fights. Of all those fights, one fight ended in a draw between Jimmy Crute and Rodolfo Bellato that ended in a 28-28 majority draw. And there was another fight with no winner that ended in a no contest, which was between Paul Gregg and, again, Rodolfo Bellato. So far in 2025 I tracked predictions from 177 channels, for a total of 37,866 predictions. So on average each channel made 214 predictions. Out of those 37,866 predictions, a total of 23,944 were correct, or 63.2%, and 13,942 were incorrect, or 36.8%. For the 8 months results video, not every channel is in the results. To be included, they need to have made at least 174 picks, which is half of all the fights of 2025. This way, the stats aren't skewed by channels that make picks only once in a while, or selectively, by only picking big favorites for example. But don't worry, you'll still see all the channels in the overview at the end of each part. With that out of the way, let's get started with the least and most accurate channels of 2025. Which channels were the least accurate with predicting the winner for each fight over the last 8 months? At number 10 we have MMA Bet Viper, with 197 correct out of 332 picks, for a correct pick percentage of 59.3%. At number 9 we have Paul from the Boogie Beatdown with 162 out of 275 correct, for 58.9%. Sharing number 8 we have Sean from the Running Mouth MMA Show with 198 out of 337 correct, and Zlatan's Fight Picks with 160 out of 272 correct, both for a correct pick percentage of 58.8%. Satino DeFranco had 111 out of 190 correct, for 58.4%. The Finch Jets is in 6th place with 201 correct out of 347, for 57.9%. Before we start with the top 5, there is a channel in the top 5 that, despite having a low correct pick percentage, is still profitable overall and is actually one of the most profitable predictors. So having a high or low correct pick percentage doesn't mean you're profitable. At number 5 is A-Side MMA with 116 out of 202 correct, for 57.4%. With a slightly worse correct pick percentage of 57.3% we have Baby Sharp MMA at number 4 with 181 correct out of 316. And with an almost 3% lower correct pick percentage we have Eagle MMA at number 3. He had 142 out of 260 correct, for 54.6%. Sansu Tips is the second least accurate channel over the last 8 months. He had 114 picks correct out of 211, for 54%. And the least accurate channel over the last 8 months with the lowest correct pick percentage was Brandon from the Santino DeFranco podcast. He made a total of 194 picks and only 102 were correct, for a correct pick percentage of 52.6%. Which channels are, so far in 2025, the most accurate with predicting the winner for each fight? Opening up the top 10 we have Bryce from Boston with 127 correct out of 192, for a correct pick percentage of 66.1%. At number 9 is Slim MMA with 222 correct out of 334, for 66.5%. Sharing number 8 we have JP from Lockdoor MMA with 176 correct out of 264, and Richard Spix with 232 correct out of 348, both for a correct pick percentage of 66.7%. In 7th place is Hopero MMA with 228 correct out of 341, for 66.9%, with a 0.1% higher correct pick percentage. In 6th place we have James Lynch with 227 correct out of 339, and Left Lane MMA with 233 out of 348 correct. and both of them have a correct pick percentage of 67%. Opening up the top 5, we have Axel MMA with 232 correct out of 344 for 67.4%. In 4th place, we have Jake Gerber MMA with 214 out of 316 correct for 67.7%. With a 0.1% higher correct pick percentage for 67.8%, we have the UFC McFly at number 3 with 120 correct out of 177. The second most accurate channel so far in 2025 is the MMA Data Guy. With 224 correct out of 329, he has a correct pick percentage of 68.1%. And in 1st place, the most accurate channel with predicting the winner for each fight over the first 8 months of 2025 is MMA Husky Hustler. He made a total of 262 picks, and out of those 179 were correct for a correct pick percentage of 68.3%. Congratulations MMA Husky Hustler and the rest of this top 10 for being the most accurate predictors so far in 2025. And stay accurate for the last 4 months of this year. And here is the complete overview of all channels that I've tracked so far this year. A total of 155, including channels that made picks on less than half of all the fights, but excluding channels that aren't active anymore or made less than 20 picks so far. The channels are listed from highest to lowest correct pick percentage. For the next part of the least and most profitable predictors, the results again only include channels with a minimum of 174 picks, 50% of all the fights in 2025. All picks that a channel makes count, regardless of confidence levels or odds preference. For every pick a channel has made, we pretend we place a $100 moneyline bet. To calculate the results, we will use the odds from the tail of the tape that are shown right before each fight. And all rankings are based on return on investment percentage. The least profitable channels for predicting the winner for the first 8 months of 2025, we have at number 10 the Finch Chats. If you had followed all of his 347 picks for predicting the winner of each fight and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them, you could have lost $3,082 for a return on investment of minus 8.9%. And for the rest of this top 10, I will only mention the return on investment percentage, because that's where it's based on. And the rest of the numbers, well, they are on the screen. At number 9, we have Funky Bunch MMA with a return on investment of minus 9%. With a minus 9.4% ROI, we have Keith Schillen from SureDog.com at number 8. Giuliano Argentini is at number 7 with a return on investment of minus 9.8%. With a minus 0.1% worse return on investment for 9.9%, we have MMA BG at number 6. In 5th place, we have Eagle MMA with a minus 10.8% return on investment. And a little bit worse with minus 10.9%, we have Shy Gut Picks at number 4. And also pretty close with minus 11.1%, we have the Sportsbook Killer in 3rd place. And with a minus 2.1% lower return on investment for minus 13.2%, we have at number 2 DFS by the numbers. And the least profitable channel so far in 2025 over the first 8 months is Brendan from the Santino DeFranco podcast. Had you followed all of his 194 picks and had placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them, you could have lost $3,655 for a return on investment of minus 18.8%, which is double as bad as the channels at the bottom of this top 10. Which channels are the most profitable with predicting the winner for each fight? At number 10, we have MMA Lock of the Night. If you had followed all of his 348 picks for the outcome of each fight and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them, you could have won a total of $306 for a return on investment of 0.9%. And just like the previous part, I will only go over the return on investment numbers. And the rest of them, you can see them on the screen. Jake Gerber MMA is at number 9 with a return on investment of 1%. At number 8, we have Bedtime MMA with a return on investment of 1.3%. Benny P MMA is at number 7 with a return on investment of 2%. Utica from Bros Talk MMA is at number 6 with a return on investment of 2.6%. And in 5th place, we have Sun Tzu Tips, the channel that was in 2nd place for least accurate channels. So having a low correct pick percentage doesn't mean bad results. He had a return on investment of 2.8%. And in 4th place, we have one of the biggest MMA channels on YouTube, Lucas Tracy MMA, with a return on investment of 3.2%. In 3rd place, we have Fight Fairy, and she had a return on investment of 4%. And with a return on investment of 2.6% higher for 6.6%, we have MMA Ethic in second place. And in first place, the most profitable channel with the highest return on investment over the first 8 months of 2025, we have the UFC McFlyer. Had you followed all of his 177 picks and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them, you could have won $1,359 for a return on investment of 7.7%. So congratulations to the UFC McFlyer and the rest of this top 10 for being the most profitable channels. Keep it up for the last 4 months of 2025. And here is the overview of all channels that I've tracked, including those that made picks on less than 50% of all the fights, and excluding those that aren't active anymore or made less than 20 picks. The channels are listed from highest to lowest return on investment, with the channel name, money won or lost, return on investment, correct picks, correct pick percentage, and their total investment. Up next in the 8 months results, we'll have a deeper look at the favorites and underdogs, and find out which channels are the most accurate and most profitable for each category. Over the last 8 months we had 341 fights where there was a favorite and an underdog. The favorite fighter in odds won 230 times or 67.4% of the time. And the underdog won 111 times for 32.6%. On those 341 fights where there was a favorite and an underdog, the YouTube prediction channels made a total of 37,182 predictions, and they picked the favorite fighter in odds 28,912 or 77.8%, approximately 3/4 of the time. And they picked the underdog 8,270 for 22.2%, approximately 1/4 of the time. So from this we can already conclude that the prediction channels on YouTube are picking the favorite fighter in odds too much and the underdog fighters too low, since the favorite fighters don't win 77% but only 67%, and the underdog fighters not win 22% but they win 32% of the time. Of the 28,912 predictions made on the favorite fighter, 20,144 were correct for 69.7% and 8,768 were incorrect for 30.3%. And for the 8,270 picks on underdogs, 3,432 were correct for 41.5% and 4,838 were incorrect for 58.5%. Let's get into the rankings and find out which channels are the most accurate and most profitable with betting on favorites or underdogs. And we start with the favorites. For the best predictors on favorite fighters and odds, I'll only include channels that made picks on at least 127 favorite fighters, which is based on the following calculation. 331 fights had a favorite and an underdog. Half of that is 170.5. On average, 75% of all channels picked the favorite, and 75% of 170.5 is 127 rounded down. For the most accurate predictors on picking the winner for favorite fighters and odds, I will only go over the correct pick percentage. The correct and total picks are on the screen. Sharing number 10, we have Live Dogs MMA and JP Locked Door MMA, both with 71.8% correct pick percentage. At number 9 is Sports Betting Up with 72% correct. With a 0.1% higher correct pick percentage for 72.1%, we have Benny P MMA at number 8. Also with a 0.1% higher correct pick percentage for 72.2%, we have Jake Gerber MMA at number 7. In 6th place we have Fight Fairy, and she had a correct pick percentage of 72.5%. At number 5 we have Bryce from Boston with a correct pick percentage of 72.7%. In 4th place we have Lucas Tracy MMA with 72.9% correct. In 3rd place we have Cesar Leo with a correct pick percentage of 73.3%. With a 73.5% correct pick percentage, we have MMA Ethic in 2nd place for most accurate. But the most accurate channel with their picks on favorite fighters in odds only for the first 8 months of 2025 was the UFC McFlyer. He picked the favorite fighter in odds 137 times and made the correct pick 101 times for a correct pick percentage of 73.7%. And here is the complete overview of all channels that made picks on favorite fighters in odds, with the correct picks, total picks on favorite fighters and the correct pick percentage. Which channels were the most profitable with their picks on favorite fighters in odds only? Or maybe we should call it lost the least amount of money. because it looks like there's not a lot of money to be made by blindly following all picks a channel makes on favorite fighters in odds. With a return on investment of minus 3.1%, we have Brevin from Lockdoor MMA. Sports Betting Up is at number 9 with minus 3%. Price from Boston is at number 8 with minus 2.4% return on investment. Sharing 7th place, we have Cesar Leo and Jake Gerber MMA with a return on investment of minus 2.3%. Fight Fairy is in 6th place with minus 2.2%. JP, also from Lockdoor MMA, had a return on investment of minus 2.1%. Benny P MMA is at number 4 with minus 1.9%. Lucas Tracy MMA is in 3rd place with minus 1.4%. And in 2nd place, almost break even with a return on investment of minus 0.1%, we have MMA Ethic. And in 1st place, the only channel that was profitable if you had blindly followed all of their picks on favorite fighters in odds is the UFC McFlyer. If you had placed a $100 moneyline bet on all his picks on favorite fighters in odds, you could have won a total of $93 for a return on investment of 0.7%. What is going on here and why do channels lose by betting on favorites? The reason why channels are losing by betting on favorites is because the underdogs are winning more and more. Let me show you with stats from my previous results videos. Over the last 7 months of 2024, the favorite fighter in odds won 73.2% and the underdogs 26.8%. In the 9 months results video, the underdogs won 28.5%. In the 10 months results video, 30.4%. They went down a little bit in the 12 months results video to 29.5%, but in 2025 the underdogs are doing better than ever and they're winning 32.3% over the first 6 months and 32.6% over the last 8 months. And the average return on investment for the best predictors on favorite fighters and odds is also going down over this period. The average return on investment over the last 7 months of 2025 was 11.8%. Then in my 9 months results video it was 4.9%, the 10 months results video 2.1%, it bounced back in the 12 months results video to 2.7%, and in the first 6 months of 2025 it was only 1.4%, and the last results over the last 8 months of 2025, the average return on investment is negative with minus 1.8%. So far in 2025, most of the money is made by betting on underdogs. But which channels are the most accurate and the most profitable when they bet on underdogs? Let's find out. But first, here's the overview of all channels with their results for favorite fighters in odds over the first 8 months of 2025. With their money won, but mostly lost, their return on investment, their correct picks, their total picks, their correct pick percentage and their total investment. For the best predictors on underdog fighters, I'll only include channels that made a minimum of 42 picks, which is based on the following calculation. 341 fights had a favorite and an underdog. Half of that is 170.5. On average, 25% of all the picks was made on underdogs, and 25% of 170.5 is 42 rounded down. For the most accurate channels at predicting winning underdogs for the first 8 months of 2025, we have at number 10 Benny P MMA, who picked the underdog correctly 48% of the time. At number 9 is Slim MMA with a correct pick percentage of 48.1%. Jake Gerber MMA is at number 8 with a correct pick percentage of 48.3%. With a correct pick percentage of 48.5%, we have Uncle Weezy at number 7. Richard's Picks is at number 6 with a correct pick percentage of 48.6%. And with a correct pick percentage of 48.9%, we have Axel MMA at number 5. In 4th place is UFC Gambling Addicts with a 49.1% correct pick percentage. Sharing 3rd place, we have Happero MMA and James Lynch. They didn't make the same amount of picks, but have the same correct pick percentage of 50%. And in 2nd place, we have Just Win Baby MMA with a 52.3% correct pick percentage. And the most accurate channel with their picks on underdog fighters only over the first 8 months of 2025 is Lucrative James. He had 25 out of 42 underdog picks correct for a correct pick percentage of 59.5%. And here is the overview of all channels that I've tracked with their underdog picks, with their correct and total underdog picks and the correct underdog pick percentage. Which prediction channels could have made you the most money if you had blindly followed all of their underdog picks and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them? At number 10 for the most profitable channel we have Slim MMA with a return on investment of 18.1%. JP Bet Journal is at number 9 with a return on investment of 18.2%. With an 18.3% return on investment we have Lucas Tracy MMA at number 8. James Lynch is in 7th place with a return on investment of 19.2%. Benny P MMA is at number 6 with a return on investment of 20.4%. Opening up the top 5 we have MMA Ethic with a 21.2% ROI. With a slightly higher return on investment of 21.5% we have Axel MMA at number 4. Ben Duffy from SureDoc.com is in 3rd place. He had a return on investment of 24.1%. The second most profitable channel is Just Win Baby MMA. He had a return on investment with his underdog picks of 29.7%. And the most profitable channel with their underdog picks over the first 8 months of 2025 is Lucrative James, who was also the most accurate with their underdog picks. If you had followed all of his 42 underdog picks and placed a $100 moneyline bet on each of them, you could have made a profit of $2,050 for a very good return on investment of 48.8%. So, congratulations to Lucrative James for being the most profitable and most accurate predictor for underdog picks. And here is the overview of all channels with their underdog picks, including those that made less than 42 underdog picks. With the total money won or lost, the return on investment, correct underdog picks, total underdog picks, correct pick percentage and investment. And for the last part we will look at which channels are the best predictors with their winner plus method of victory predictions. I've started tracking these predictions not so long ago, so I've only tracked predictions for 9 events for a total of 109 fights. And over those 109 fights, all channels made a total of 7,616 winner plus method of victory predictions. And out of those, 2,661 were correct for 34.9% and 4,956 were incorrect for 65.1%. For the correct winner and method of victory predictions, we only include channels that made picks on at least half of all the fights, so a minimum of 54, since I've only tracked 109 fights. Which channels are the least profitable with their winner plus method of victory predictions? At number 10 we have MMA Husky Hustler, who was the most accurate channel overall. But he's not so accurate with his winner plus method of victory predictions, with a return on investment of minus 24.7%. Rigo and the Weasel share number 9 with a return on investment of minus 25%. With a 0.1% worse return on investment for 25.1% we have MMA Matt at number 8. King of Crackdown is at number 7 with minus 26.5%. Topside MMA is in 6th place with a return on investment of minus 27.2%. Opening up the top 5 we have MMA Lock of the Night with a minus 29.1% ROI. And with a slightly worse ROI of minus 29.3% we have MMA Joey at number 4. Sharing 3rd place we have KC MMA and Marcel from MMA Oddsbreaker. And both of them have a return on investment of minus 30.6%. And in 2nd place with a 0.1% worse ROI of minus 30.7% we have Takedown Talks. And the least profitable channel over the last 9 events and 109 fights with their correct winner and method of victory predictions is Greedo Plays MMA. If you had followed all of his 92 winner plus method of victory predictions and had placed a $100 bet on each of them, you could have lost $3,147 for a return on investment of minus 34.2%. Which channels were the most profitable with their winner plus method of victory predictions? At number 10 we have the UFC McFlyer, who was the most profitable predictor overall and the most profitable predictor on favorite fighters. And he's also doing pretty well with his winner plus method of victory predictions. And he had a return on investment of 4.7%. At number 9 we have Benny P MMA and Fight IQ with Vaughn. Both of them had a return on investment of 4.9%. At number 8 we have UFC Ginny with a return on investment of 5.1%. In 7th place is Coty MMA with a 5.6% return on investment. The Wager Zone is in 6th place with a return on investment of 7.7%. Opening up the top 5 we have Carlos from MCA Picks with a return on investment of 8.2%. The MMA Mystic is at number 4 with a 9.1% ROI. With an almost double as high ROI of 17.2%, we have Young Pasty in third place. In second place, we have Kunat. He had a return on investment of 19.3%. But over the last 9 events and 109 fights, the most profitable channel with their correct winner and method of victory predictions was the MMA Yuda. If you had followed all of his 60 winner plus method of victory predictions and placed a $100 bet on each of them, you could have won $1,954 for a very good return on investment of 32.6%. So congratulations to the MMA Yuda and the rest of this top 10 for being the most profitable predictors with the winner plus method of victory predictions. Let's hope and see if they can keep it up for the rest of 2025. And here is the overview of all channels that I've tracked winner plus method of victory predictions from, also including channels that made predictions on less than half of all the fights. That was it for the results video for the first 8 months of 2025. Hope you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful and informative. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel and the work I put into it, you can consider buying me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com or becoming a member at Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee, which also gives you access to exclusive perks like daily updated pics after my overview video went live. I would appreciate it a lot and will be very grateful for the support. Thank you all so much for watching the 8 months results video, and I'll see you in the next one.